started, if somebody would like to close the doors in the back, please. Thank you. Appreciate you guys staying here. I know there's an Army-Navy game going on and some other things you can be doing, so appreciate everybody coming
Go
in.
Army.
Go Army. Go Army.
Go Army.
Army. I'm in Switzerland here, so I'm not going to get involved in that.
3-0.
Two things before we get started. First, I would just like to thank, on behalf of our staff, the IMLCA and Phil Buttafuoco and that group for inviting us to speak, but more importantly for really starting to become an organization that's doing things that are meaningful for our sport and for our profession. You guys have probably heard we voted, I think it was yesterday, to limit recruiting to starting the junior year, and just a lot of things going on here as an organization that are, I think, to make our sport better and to make our profession better. And I think this event has gotten better from last year to this year, and it's going to keep getting better in the future. So hopefully you guys will keep coming back and bring more of your peers with you. So, and the second thing I'd like to say is that just being up here on behalf of our staff and the University of Pennsylvania, I feel very fortunate to work with the guys I work with. Jim Stagnita is going to talk about defense. He's our defensive coordinator. Casey Arquette is our director of operations. Pat Myers is our offensive coordinator and recruiting coordinator. And Mike Barmioli is our midfield coach and face-off coach. He's going to talk about that. I feel very fortunate. I'm not sure I've worked on a better staff and been around a better collection of coaches in my time doing this, and I've been very fortunate to work on some very good staffs. But I just think that the lacrosse IQ in our office is extremely high. But more importantly, they're great men, great people that are great role models for our players, and we have a lot of fun coming to work actually every day. And we have good reports, so hopefully that'll come through in this talk. So excited to talk to you guys today, and the title is "The Fundamentals of Preparing Your Team," and it's going to be presented to you guys in essentially three components. And so if you have questions as we go through, if you can hold those until the end, or at least till the end of that person's segment, that would be great. So, and so for us, we kind of approach it on 3 levels. The first is what we call efficiency. Something I actually got from a basketball coach. I went to Penn as an assistant under Mark Armsdale, I guess 15 years ago, fall of 2000. And Fran Dunphy was the basketball coach there, and I used to spend some time with him and watch him practice, etc. And so he told me, asked him what was the first thing he looked at after every game, and he said points per possession on both ends. And so he said they wanted to score 1.05 points, and the whole team's 0.95. And so ever since that day, I've tracked that on every team I've been a part of, and every film I've watched of the game. So that's how we do things. And the difference between basketball and lacrosse, one of them, although the sports are very similar, is that you can determine or maneuver the number of possessions you have because of the face-off. Clearing and riding has an impact on that a little bit, but today we're really just going to focus on the face-offs. And so the efficiency, and we'll talk about that in a second, is really just a matter of how many possessions you have relative to the other team and what percentage of the time you score relative to the other team. And then we talk a lot about fundamentals and building blocks and things like that. And that's a skill set that is primarily technical, and you start from the ground up. And you'll see Coach Myers, talking about basic stick work mechanics and shooting mechanics that will then, go up to 1-on-1s, 2-on-2s, etc. That's what we call them, building blocks, and then into the 6-on-6 stuff, and hopefully result in a goal. And for Coach Stagnita, the way we play the ball, the way we slide, and the way we put all that together, that will hopefully result in getting stops. And then when we put all that stuff together, it becomes, of course, of the game, you want to be consistent, and we'll talk about that as well. But the thing that really kind of binds it all together is the culture. And the culture is tangible and intangible, really more intangible. We'll go over that in a little while as well. If you think of it as a house, the efficiency is kind of the frame of the house, the fundamentals are really like the bricks, and the culture is like the mortar. So if you think of it that way, you get a picture of what we're talking about. Okay, this is just a scenario. There's a lot of text up there. I'm not going to read the text. But basically, if you look at a game, and if it's a blank slate, in this scenario, each team has 36 possessions, right? And each team scores 30% of the time. That's going to result in 10.8 goals. Now, obviously, you can't score 0.8, but it gives you an example. Now, if you win in that game, there will be a certain number of face-offs. Usually, it's the total number plus 4. Okay, regardless of what it is. In this example, you assume it's going to be 26 because you round up. Now, instead of that being an even 50% face-off win, 13-13, if you now win just 3 more face-offs, and Coach Barnavioli will show you how to do that. Now you swing the possessions, into your favor somewhat significantly. I would think 39 to 33. So 3 more for you, 3 fewer for your opponent. And if you're both still scoring at a rate of 30%, you now win that game 11.7 to 9.9, or essentially 12 to 10. Now, in addition to that swing, if you also increase your scoring efficiency and your defensive efficiency, if you do both, now you're winning that game 13 to 8. And so that's the way we approach it. It gives us a kind of a practical approach to everything, and allows for Coach Staggs to really focus on the defense and run the defense. That's what he's working toward. And if he does his job, and Coach Myers does his job, and Coach Barnavioli does his job, that's going to be the result. Now, if only we're playing a team that has a really good face-off guy, Coach Barnavioli's unit can only get to 48%. Well, we still have a shot at winning that game. And so that's kind of the framework for how we approach all this. Now, the building blocks are really important. That's what we spend a lot of time on. Okay. Offensively, essentially all we're doing is working to generate good shots and shoot them well. All right. So the way we dodge, the way we pick, the way we move off the ball. An individual skill, a 2-man skill, a 6-man skill are all things, and that's the progression of the building block. A single building block is something one guy does, and then you put it in the second guy, and then the other 5 guys, and that's when you have offense, and that's what Coach Myers is going to talk to you guys about. Defensively, same thing. Coach Zach will show you how we do that from the ground up, and in terms of just simple things like stance and mechanics of staying topside, to the way we slide, to the way we fill and recover, and help an individual 1-man skill into a 6 and 7-man unit. And then the same thing on the face-offs. I think the guys at Duke do a fantastic job. Talked to Ron Caputo a couple of times. They do a very good job of teaching both the individual technique of the face-off as well as the 3-man mechanics of it. So, and there's some basic fundamentals to everything we do, and some what we call our culture, and just some basic things that we want to be a part of every play on every day. But communication is probably the most important thing that will move across all 3 of these phases: offense, defense, and facing off. And we believe that if we rep the fundamentals properly, they lead to good habits. And that leads to consistency, and that leads to dependability. A lot of other intangibles like trust and things that the coaches have spoken about here this weekend. The quote I really like, and I'll read that: champions don't beat themselves. If you want to win, do the ordinary things better than anyone else does, day in and day out. We're not going to fool people or out-scheme them. We're just going to outplay them because we'll know what we're doing. When we get into a critical situation, we won't have to think. We'll just play faster and fundamentally sound. Chuck Noll, and I actually spoke here 5-6 years ago and used the same quote. It's actually up in our locker room. It has been and will continue to be there. And so these are the kind of 6 basic elements of our culture. And we talk about these things as the way we want to play across. And we feel like every player goes about his job, whether it's offense, defense, or face-offs, in a selfless manner, with maximum effort, with a great deal of enthusiasm and discipline, leadership, and toughness, then our team or that unit will be successful. And I can talk to you about each of these 6 elements for hours, I'm sure. But I do think discipline is probably the most important one because it leads to the most dependability, because of the consistency with which it comes. And Eric Capitolica's guy that does leadership and teamwork training, they call the program. They spoke here earlier today. We've been using them for, I think, 6 years now. And so as you use their service, they send you a newsletter. And this came from one of the newsletters recently. Self-disciplined Marines are those who exercise self-control and take personal responsibility. They subordinate personal considerations such as convenience and comfort to do the right thing. Self-disciplined Marines do the right thing when no one is looking, and they maintain the discipline because their fellow Marines are counting on that. And I just think that is so consistent with everything we're trying to do as an offensive unit or defensive unit. And if your attackman is looking for the best shot for the unit instead of the best shot for him, then your team is going to be much more effective. And I think that comes through in this quote. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Coach Myers. Thank you.
All right, I just want to make sure the mic's on. Can everybody hear me okay? Awesome. Just to echo Coach Murphy's sentiments, obviously having the opportunity to be up before you is always a humbling situation. Having done this a few times, very honored to be up here today. Thank you to the IMLCA for allowing us to speak, and certainly echo his thoughts on the staff as well. It's a tremendous group to work with every day. I've learned a lot in the past year and a half working with these guys, and thanks to Coach Barty, who's done a lot of great film work for us here to help us get a lot of this stuff. I'm going to dive into some of our offensive fundamentals, and as I get through this, I do have a fair amount of video. I'm just going to let the videos play, so at the end, if you have questions, feel free to grab me. I'm not going to stop the video, just so we can get through it, kind of take you through a progression of basic fundamentals that we talk about at Penn with our guys, daily, weekly, drill to drill, that hopefully add up into a product that we feel good about. This is something that's hanging in our locker room. I found this a couple years ago and really like it. Obviously, Tim Duncan, and the basis of this talk is fundamentals. And Tim Duncan is probably the most fundamental player in the last 10 to 15 years in the NBA, which I felt was appropriate that he was attached to this. But just some bullet points, things that are good to talk about with your guys that kind of come through hopefully in our offensive culture and the way we play. Coach talked about the efficiency, but efficient scores, keeping it simple, taking great shots, certainly willing passers, making their teammates better, fundamentally sound, stick to what they do best. One of my favorites, don't take my turn shots, and score within their team system, which is something that we talk about a lot. These are just some day one cultural building blocks. So first day we come back in fall ball, and we start, right away, we're talking to the team. Our first, we have our first team meeting, and we start to get into playbook stuff. These are just a few of the things that we're going to hit on pretty much every day. I heard Coach Corrigan gave a great talk earlier today. I think that if you ask a few of our guys, there's going to be, they're going to be able to spit these out pretty quickly, and the refrain of just hearing these things over and over again hopefully shows in the way we play. But just one quote I particularly like: hit singles and eventually your talent will take over. Brad Stevens, who's a young coach with the Boston Celtics, who I really like. We talk about making singles all the time. Obviously that ties into the fundamental piece. But again, coming back to kind of a comment that Coach Corrigan made earlier today in regards to if you have a sound foundation of fundamentals and you can master those things, there's 1,000 decisions that our guys are going to make in the course of a practice, a drill, a game. But if the fundamentals are sound, then hopefully over the course of a game, that their talent will take over and they won't necessarily have to be thinking about those fundamentals. It'll just be second nature. So that's a quote that is on the cover of our playbook. But just some basic day one cultural building blocks that we're going to talk about. Overhand shooting, something we believe in. Two-handed ground balls, moving the ball off the ground. Finishing in front of the cage. Throwing the ball hard, sounds simple. And ironically, these are all things you kind of look for, certainly in recruiting as well. Communication, you probably heard that a lot this weekend. We talked about using first names and using that directive a lot for whether it be a one more, double team, or whatever the case is. Sprinting with the ball on your stick, making singles, and just hit on that. Talk a lot about body language, and then just an overall urgency, doing things at full speed with attention to detail. Those are just some day one basic cultural building blocks for us at the offensive end, no matter what set we're in. And I think you'll see as we move through this stuff, over the years I've had the fortune of working with and for a lot of great coaches. And you take a lot of, I see guys in this room, I've heard them speak, you try to take as much as you can every time you hear somebody speak, and you kind of, I feel like I've been able to build up almost a mental database of skill cues. I picked up a few new ones this weekend that I really liked that I'm going to take back to Penn with me. but things that we can attach to certain aspects of the game that really make sense to our guys. And again, we're just pounding away at these things daily as we go through. So again, these building blocks are things that no matter what set we're in, no matter what offense we're running, we have a foundation, we have a base. So starting with stick work, a couple of things we really talk about right off the bat, we call 11 to 1 passing, 11 on the clock to 1 on the clock, just keeping the stick on their ear, which eliminates sidearm passing. Talk about being triple threat. Again, there's a lot of different ways to say all these things. I'm just giving you a few examples. Always being loaded, using your butt end. You heard Matt Brown talk about the butt end on Friday night. Stick fakes, pump fakes. Always showing the target, very important as well. The catching aspect, certainly. Catching the ball deep with quiet hands. I'm going to talk about hard corners as well. So on this first video, just to show you, this is just, again, a series of drills. I'm not going to stop. This is just real basic. This is like the first four-man of the year. This is last week of August or first week of September. This is just partner pass. Just working on catching the ball deep, one cradle and a pass, throwing the ball hard, using first names. A lot of doing it hopefully at full speed. A lot of the things that I've already touched on. You'd be shocked how much we throw the ball away just in partner pass. This is a hard corner drill. This is a staple for us. We call this hard corners. And we're just working on throwing the ball hard. You'd be amazed that guys need to fix their pocket or really iron out that these guys all happen to be left-handed here. I got 4 lefties working together. And we're just working on throwing the ball as hard as we can from our ear and really opening our hips. And we do this with our strong hand, we do this with our weak hand. Now we're going to flip it, we're going to go the other way. Again, a lot of different ways to say this, getting your body around the ball, which was something I liked, I heard Matt Brown say. We talk about opening our hips and catching the ball in front of our face, but catching it deep, and then being able to transfer the ball quickly from point A to point B. I don't care how they transfer the ball, they can do it with their strong hand. Then we have a skip pass in there to a one more, have to make a tough handle, make a one more. Obviously they're stationary right now, so this is just, we're starting with the basic level of throwing the ball hard and handling tough passes. Skip to a one more, so it'll be a first name while the ball's in the air. And you can start to see it apply to some drills that we do. This is just an attack drill we're doing in the off season, working on transferring the ball from point A to point B, throwing the ball hard across our face. Again, I don't really tell them what hand to transfer the ball with. I just want to get there as quick as possible. There's a good example using our butt end, working with some middies. That was with the attack. This is with our middies. We're just using our butt end to point it at our target, throwing the ball across our face. We use cones for our stick work, and then we get into a box passing drill where we're combining all the elements, trying to play as fast as possible, throwing the ball hard from the ear, transferring the ball off a tough handle, and step down and go one more. And we'll combine, obviously several different elements. And you can see it in practice here. This is just a quick clip from practice, and you'll see a lot of those elements we just talked about. Hard corners, throwing the ball from our ear, 11 to 1, loaded, and being able to finish in front of the goal. And then you can see it applied to a game scenario. Again, you can see us get our body around the ball here. Hopefully open our hips, hard corners, open our hips, hard corners, and finish. Moving on to shooting, okay, some different elements that we really build our shooting from. Soft toss, we talk about power before accuracy, really building that up. Push and pull, talk to the guys about having enough space between their hands and their chest to drop the basketball in there. It's just an example that I give them. Hiding their hands with a quiet stick, driving their arms, their hands up and out, getting their opposite shoulder pointed at the opposite pipe. And shoulder square to your target when you finish. Just some clips here. Again, just a lot of this is filmed with an iPad just to give you a closer look. We do a lot of iPad stuff in addition to our bird's eye view. We do a lot of tennis ball work with. And again, we're gonna drop a lot of balls, which is a good thing. The tennis balls really works on the soft hands. I feel like helps us. And I try to just show you how it applies to hopefully translate it over into a game scenario. This is a drill we call a layup drill. Now we're starting to move to more on-the-run stuff. Right in front of the goal, starting from a still position, really trying to build the muscle memory here and just pounding the ball. Okay, over and over and over again. Just working on splits, seeing the ball hit the back of the net, coming right over the top. Lefty, righty. We'll do splits, swims, rollbacks. Again, building power before accuracy. keeping that stick nice and tight between their shoulder blades. And then we kind of progress to the same drill you saw before, where we're throwing the ball across our face and then we're finishing. This is a pre-practice drill I do with the attack, where we're just working on dragging. This could be zone, this could be man up, this could be anything. Push, pull, squeeze, throwing the ball back and forth with each other, stick on the ear, loaded, catch it deep, finish. Get a lot of reps. A little over the cage shooting. As you can see here, working with, this happens to be a group of middies that we're working with. And we got 2 cages working here, trying to get as many reps as possible. Working the right hand, the left hand, working your strong hand, your weak hand, and really just building the fundamentals of our overhand shot, right up through soft toss, from layup drill. You can see how it might apply to 3-on-2 drill right there. Okay. Also with the shooting, we talk a lot about finishing in front. This is just a very simple drill that we do where we're coming around, we have to finish underneath the cone. And again, just to show you that hopefully these things apply to game scenarios. Fading is unacceptable for us. We want the stick, the head of the stick to be between the pipes. That's the rule. So when we do 3-on-2 drills, we don't count the goal. The head of the stick is not between the pipes. This is, again, just a 3-cage drill. Now we're working on, I think it's important to work on shots you want you guys to take in the game. All shorties here are just working on rollback, what we call GTM, get the middle, and finishing between the hash marks. We're just kind of building it up from there. And all these drills you see, I probably should have said this in the beginning, is we're just, for the sake of this presentation, we're working on building offensive players. So some are more specific to attack, some are more specific to middies, certainly. But at the end of the day, we're building offensive skill here. Okay, this is something we call chase and squares. We talked about basic stick work, basic shooting, and now we're going to progress into chase and square. All right, this is leading into our dodge. Before we actually talk about dodging, we want to talk about how we accept the ball. We like to hunt the ball while it's in the air. So a little seat out to the ball here. And this technique we call chase and square, because we're chasing the ball down and then we're squaring up our defender. Run to your pass, run to your catch. Short choppy steps into a one-on-one drill where we're working on that chase and square concept and really squaring up our defender. Okay, you'll move from chase and square right into the actual dodging component here, what we call chops. Okay, now we're just literally working on our footwork here. Just eyes should be up, exploding out of it, change the speed, change the direction, 2 keys to a good dodge. Learned that when I was probably 10. No one goes to instructional camps anymore, but I heard that, at some point at an instructional camp. This is just a basic pre-practice stick protection drill, doing with the attack, just a warm-up, just working on getting the chin on the shoulder, elbow out, thumb down. All right, progressing into some equal pressure drills here. Okay, we talk a lot about stick first, body follows. So, a number of different ways to say that. You can call it chasing your stick. We do a lot of these equal pressure. Now we're working on stepping through. That was turn and shoot. Now we're working on a little bit of a rocker, creating light and then eliminating the light. We're going to step right through it. And you can see it applied to a one-on-one. Protecting the stick, turn and shoot. And create light, eliminate light. And then in this last clip here, you can see a nice example of he gets some equal pressure on the island, utilizes a rocker, and is able to step through. And this is a freshman who's come a long way in the fall for us, just working on some of these things. And you can see how it applies to the game. Turn and shoot scenario there will certainly hopefully translate into a similar scenario in the game. Now we're working on GTMs, sweeping across the middle of the field, shooting over the top. See a good example of a midi here doing it in practice, coming right over the top, and then the same guy doing something similar in a game. Being able to get to the middle of the field and hopefully finish with good fundamentals. Okay, so just to hit on the dodging there. Stick first, I would say on that bullet pointed list, stick first, body follows is something we talk about a lot. We talk about all these things a lot, but that one in particular, chasing your stick and stick first, body follows is a big one. Ground ball is a big part of certainly offensive play and fundamentals. Obviously 2 hands all the time. We want to chase the ground balls, and we use the word mirror a lot. So this is just a basic, I'm sure everybody does something similar, basic 2-pass drill. This is a drill I really like coming off the sideline. We want to move the ball twice off the ground. This is a 2-on-1 ground ball off the sideline. We have an attackman and defenseman in there already. All right, as soon as the ball comes up, now we're just going to let the ball move, all right, and turn it into a 3-on-2. Just getting them in the habit of moving the ball off the ground. See an example of it translated here. We want to move it twice off the ground every time. So we always want that ball to move twice off the ground. We pound away at that daily. We've talked a little bit about stick work, shooting, dodging. I'm going to get into what we call carry the double. You can roll back, you can throw back, and there's the chase your stick. Vernacular, chin on your shoulder, step into the sideline, and again, stick first, body follows. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about what that's going to look like. Again, starting with the chops, and we're going to build it up to actually carrying the double team and being able to step away and either throw back or roll back. You know, sit down on the island, stick first, body follows, be ready to kick it. Sit down 1-1000, 2-1000, 3-1000, chase your stick, mirror the dodge, and kick it. Just a very basic double team drill here with our attack. Sit, 1-1000, 2-1000, double, 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 chase your stick, mirror, and kick it. Attack does this a lot on their own. Again, you can kind of see how it might translate to a game scenario. If you can time the double team, okay, chase your stick, and kick it. Sometimes you're going to throw forward. You can carry that double. It's something we talk about in our offense. A lot of ways you can chart double teams, both successful and unsuccessful carry. So a lot of times you'll have guys that chase your stick, run away from pressure, and a nice fundamental shot to finish. Just one comment on that. You know, a lot of times you have a guy that's great at drawing two, and he might not end up in the scoring column. And it's a great way to really promote, and I posted, go over with the offense after the game. You might have a guy that drew 9 double teams and didn't score a goal or have a point, but he was the guy that was kind of the key to the ignition to start your offensive line. He carried 8 of 9 double teams. So that's just a way to really show the guys that that's something that you value within the offense, is guys that can break the defense down and then do something positive with the ball are very, you know, we value that as much as anything. That's really important. Picks, I'm a big believer in picks. We teach that from the ground up, both below goal line and above goal line, starting with point of contact. And what I mean by that is basically where the defender is going to be, not where he is at the time that you're going to set the pick, and being able to adjust your pick accordingly without setting, of course, a moving pick. So knowing what I call kind of that mesh point, it's like you know, the option in football. Figuring out, you know, where that mesh point is going to be is really what makes a great picker. So we teach that, we work on it. East-west picks are a no-no. That's certainly a pet peeve of mine, but you know, we talk about north-south picks. You know, popping this space, slipping, cutting, and grabbing, just to show you a few clips of some pick stuff. You know, this is really basic. This is like day one. We haven't even touched on picks yet, and we're now, you know, obviously combining a double team, chasing our stick over here as well. But this is just kick it, make sure it's an east-west, touch the cone, shoulder to shoulder, find a point of contact, pop to space, mirror, chase your stick, kick it, and freeze dodge down the backside. Really, really simple. We're going on 3 cages. Okay, a lot of different types of picks. You can have a swing pick here. But similar, just to kind of show you how it translates, maybe creates a matchup for you on a pole, maybe gets you to the middle of the field. There's a great point of contact example, gets you to the middle of the field for a goal. That was above goal line, now you can see below goal line. Now we're drilling 3 cages, okay, below goal line, working on different types of picks coming from the crease inside out, you know, potential razor picks on a 45-degree angle, combined with a turn the corner and finish. 3 cages, a lot of reps. And then you can kind of see it translate into a game. Find that point of contact, where that mesh point is. All right, be ready to turn the corner. Where's the point of contact? Where's the magic going to happen? Get your feet set and finish. So you saw a little bit of breaking picks down to above goal line, to below goal line in different scenarios. Just last couple slides here, kind of build it up, and now you can kind of see it put together here in some one-on-ones. You know, I know Coach Danowski at Duke, I've heard him say this a number of times, that, you know, at the end of the day, picks are great, but it comes down to beating your guy and scoring a goal. So we hopefully taught our guys how to chase and square, how to fight for top side, have a physical mentality where we can eliminate some light and gain leverage, getting to the middle of the field through rollbacks and redodges and being able to turn the corner and finish. So, in the day, having that mentality to beat your guy and score a goal. So we'll break it down. We have a goalie in cage right now. We're just breaking it down to the simple chase and square, all right, and one move and go hard. This is a one-on-one plus one drill that Coach Staggs is doing. There is a slider in there. Again, just the mentality to beat your guy, score a goal. Using the chops and all the things, kind of combining the different elements. Now you've got a slider in, hopefully being physical, getting to the middle of the field, and finishing, combining a lot of different elements that you've seen thus far. At the end of the day, if you can run by your guy and beat him and score a goal, that's obviously going to help the offense. If you do get a slide, can you correctly carry the double team? Okay, so that's important to us. Talking about rollbacks, redodges, getting to the middle of the field, being physical. And you saw that shooting drill that I had up there where we were working on talking about the types of shots we want to get in a game, where we're rolling back to the middle of the field. We're not a big alley dodging shooting team. In fact, in the fall, I took that off the table and said we're not allowed to shoot down the alley off the first dodge. It was amazing. We went from like not having an offense to having an offense. And the attack was like hugging me after the first couple of days of practice. You guys know I just come back in fall ball, everybody's unloading down the alley. So that's one way. Certainly, Coach Tierney's basketball rules is another way. And you get into 2-on-2 play here. Last couple slides. Just to finish it out. Again, that same similar kind of drill that I showed you before. Sitting on the island now, we're working on drifting a little bit through X. Re-squaring our guys. So we're going to sit, we're going to re-square. This is a pre-practice drill I do with I have the attacking D, so Coach Staggs has the middies down there. Lord knows they need as much work as they can get at all times. So I have the attacking D, and I just get a short stick in the D's hand, working on big little scenarios, just working on picks, 2-on-2, spacing, timing, communication. I'm going to tell the defense I want them sliding a little bit here. Now we're just working on an inside-out pick here. Now it's Coach and myself together, working on big little. We got a D with a short. You can say it again. Hopefully we can combine multiple elements to everything you've seen thus far, squaring up our guy, being able to get through for each other, understanding how to carry a double team, and finish in front of the goal. And you can see the same two guys on a drift here, that drill I just showed you, re-square, attack, drift, gain some leverage, and finish on the backside. Again, for the middies, that was from an attack standpoint. From a midi standpoint, same drill I showed you before, just working on some 2-on-2 play here with picks, timing, shallow cuts, clearing through for each other, creating space, that kind of thing. So you kind of saw below goal line. Now you can see a little bit of above goal line of how that might translate. Being able to clear space for each other and use a lot of the different elements that we're working on fundamentally. All right, and then the last couple things, just attack. These are just to finish out the last couple bullet points. The things that some other things we talk about from specific to each position. Certainly, we're going to talk about our chemistry. Weekend shooting is a big one for our attack. Pick play, increase cut, situational IQ of big, little, and invert. Get our attack to dodge from all different spots of the field. Our end line play, our end line offense. Off-ball play, inside finishing, hang-up, short stick matchups, just some other skills we're going to pound away at fundamentally with our attack. And then for the middies, obviously chemistry that you just saw there, 2-man games, the timing of our clear-throughs and exchanges, pick play, dodging, redodging, rollbacks, gaining leverage. Again, weekend shooting is a big one. 3-man plays, freeze dodging. And you can kind of see the last slide here, it all kind of come together. Just some basic fundamental, like 3 clips here where you just have some basic fundamentals, hard corners right there. Notice on that clip he transferred the ball with his strong hand, he got his ball around the ball, he got his body around the ball and finished over the top. Just simple, on the ear, let the ball do the work. Simple stuff. Again, a pick below goal line, showing targets, catching it deep with quiet hands, no cradling. You can always add in a little creative flair, and it doesn't mean you need to get away from your fundamentals. Pretty simple stuff. All right, and any questions, I'll be happy to answer answer those at the end. Hand it over to Coach Barker.
All right, guys. My goal today is to demonstrate how we build a foundation for both our face-offs and our wing play through our part-whole approach. Going along with our theme, I believe that face-offs are deeply rooted in fundamentals, some very specific set of fundamentals, and that ties into our quote. I don't know how many people had the opportunity to listen to Art speak last night, but he was talking about maintaining integrity on the field, off the field in your life. This quote really resonated with me. We must never compromise on even the smallest of things, right? So it ties right into our theory of fundamentals, part-whole approach. We build every little piece as strong as possible, as sound as possible, and then we attack the whole part of it. So these are our fundamentals, or our keys to facing off. Obviously, we want to be quicker and more explosive than our opponent. It starts with our stance and approach, how we approach the dot or the ball. It goes along with our reaction time and hand speed. Efficient movements, we don't want any wasted movement. This is a game of inches, so we need to make sure that every movement we make is efficient as possible. Stick skills, I really can't emphasize enough. The good face-off guys out there have good stick skills, right? It's not enough to just win the draw now. You need to be able to handle pressure, be able to create offense. Along with that is the mental edge. I think recognition and toughness are two major parts of facing off. You need to be able to, if you lose a face-off, come back and win the next one. You need to really be able to think what the other opponent is doing, know how to counter them. And then also technically sound moves and counters, which obviously, again, built through our part-whole approach. We need to make sure it is technically sound all the way through. And then last but not least, wing play and communication. So again, I'm not going to read all this, but we all know there's two ways to approach the ball and have a stance. One is standing up, and one is down on one knee. We've obviously seen the rise of the one knee face-off. We actually have one guy that stands up and one guy that goes down on one knee. There are obviously advantages to both. I think standing up gives you an advantage because you obviously don't have to stand up. You're already on 2 feet, so you don't have to get up off the ground or off one knee. One knee down brings you a little bit closer to the ball. It allows you to get your head over the ball a little bit easier. But either way, we want to be strong, balanced, and explosive in our stance. We need to be able to explode out and up and create a fast break if we can. And then approach, we want to get as close to the dot as possible. Now reps are placing the ball on the dot after we've gone down and we're set, so we need to make sure we're as close as possible. We don't know where they're going to put it. Our stick must always be parallel and perpendicular, so it always must be, we can't be leaning at all, and we can't have our butt end or our stick over the line at all. And then last but not least, keep your head and your body out of the neutral zone. Referees are always looking for that now. So then moving on to reaction time and hand speed. I believe that hand speed is directly correlated with your grip and your hand positioning. There's two ways to face off also, motorcycle grip and traditional grip. Again, we have one guy that stands and uses traditional grip, and then we have one guy that goes down on one knee and uses motorcycle grip. So, we don't have a preference on either. It's really whatever the face-off man is more comfortable with. I believe motorcycle grip is great for quick clamp, power clamp, and plunger, but you can't perform every move out of that grip. The traditional grip, though, allows you to perform every move, but you sometimes may be able to be overpowered by a good motorcycle grip. Hand positioning, I think there's a direct correlation between the distance your hands are apart on the shaft and how quickly you can perform your move. By that I mean if your left hand is all the way down by your butt end, it's going to take you longer to swing that hand around. So you want to have a good balance between having good leverage but also being quick. So you want your hands close but not too close together. Ideally we like our guys to be 10 to 12 inches apart. But if you want more leverage, again, slide that left hand down the shaft a little bit. Continuing on, reaction time again. Now that the refs are placing the ball in and having a longer set call, I think reaction time is even that much more important. We ask our guys to think outside the box and hear whistles as often as possible. By that I mean you can download MP3s, there's tons of resources out there, just whistles, so we ask our guys to practice that on and off the field, just reacting to things, and just keep training on that skill. Hand speed will be driven by muscle memory, which feeds right into our whole approach. We practice face-offs in parts, we practice them live, and we also practice other off-field things like juggling or stacking cups or boxing. Stick skills. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. The main part of stick skills is actually ground balls. Being able to secure a ground ball, being able to bring it up to your face, move it along, handle pressure. We need to make sure we clear our hands when we try to throw the ball. Too many times, a long stick's going to be breathing down your neck. You try to throw it, and they get a piece of it. So we need to make sure we get away from pressure and ability to clear our hands. We need to make sure our stick is sound, right? We ask our face-off guys to do wall ball and stick drills as much as we ask our offensive guys to. So we need to make sure they can pass the ball, but also be able to shoot the ball running full speed right at the goal, which I believe is one of the hardest things to do in this sport. You're not running at an angle, you're running downhill at the goal. And it's easy to bounce the ball over or wide, so we practice that, and to that point, they have to be a scoring threat. To be able to stretch the defense, we need them to be able to put the ball in the back of the net. So again, then moving on to the mental part of it, I think, again, I believe the face-off game is a bit of a chess match. Everyone has different moves, different styles. You have to be able to adapt on the fly. Focus is the main thing. You need to be able to be in the game all the time, be able to see the ball, all right? So if you don't know where the ball is, you're not going to be able to win a face-off. So you need to see the ball and know where it is at all times. Have the presence of mind to be cognizant of the ref's cadence, know where your opponent's wings are, and then also just their approach know your opponent's approach to the ball. This comes with scouting too. We do a lot of personnel scouting. We watch other face-off men and what their tendencies are. So just be aware of your opponent's approach, who might be coming out to take the next face-off. Confidence is a big part of this as well. You need to be confident in your moves, but not overconfident where you don't go to your counter moves when you're not doing so well. And then again, no short-term memory. So no matter what happened on the last face-off, get the next one, because each possession could change the outcome of the game. So then moving on to our moves. These are the moves we really drill home with our face-off guys. They're obviously more out there, but we go with a quick clamp, a power clamp, and a plunger or a pinch and pop. The quick clamp and power clamp are very similar. They line up the same way, their hands are the same way, but the difference is we talk about it on the face of the clock. So 12 would be in front of you, 3, 6, 9. So your left hand's always going to start at 9. So when we do our quick clamp, we only go from 9 to 10. We're punching that hand forward, but we're just doing it quickly and getting the ball out. When we do a power clamp, we're punching it all the way from 9 to 12, really getting our body around into the other man, getting him off the ball, and then we're getting the ball out. And an important point of that is that we're always stepping with our right foot down the line, and our left foot is following right behind as if it were attached by a rubber band. The plunger, it's easily a fast break move. You're half clamping over the ball. You're not getting all the way over, like on the quick clamp or the power clamp. Half clamping and then squashing down the ball. By that I mean you're putting pressure on the head of the stick so it bends, and then you're also going down the line to make sure it's getting lodged in the bottom of your stick. And then you're lifting your left hand to create leverage so the ball doesn't fall out when you go to pull the ball out. And then we teach a C-curve or a check mark where the guy has to, once he has the ball, he's pulling it into his body and then out and around the opponent. Too many times we see guys get the ball and try to just go forward, and then all the other guy has to do is step down the line and he's blocking him. So we need to make sure we really get around that guy. So again, part hold. All right, so we do a warm-up with the guys, chops, grabs, drops. I'll show you chops. Basically just chopping over the balls, getting as close as possible, doing as fast as possible. Grabs are when you don't have a stick in your hand, you're just reacting off the whistle, grabbing the ball as quickly as possible. And then drops would be where a coach would stand in front of the guy, and he would drop the ball, and our face-off men would explode out of their stance and try to catch the ball before it hits the ground. Then we move on to hands, which is just one whistle. You guys just do hands. So again, we're working on just making sure our technique is sound, making sure we're pinching the ball if we're doing a plunger, or we're getting over it if we're doing a clamp. We do this with every move. So we do quick clamp, power clamp, plunger. In the video I'll show you, it will just be for the plunger. After that, we move on to 2 whistles. So the first whistle would be hands and feet. They get the ball stuck, they hold it there. Second whistle, they pull the ball out. Then we move on to live reps on air, and then live reps against each other. And when we do live reps on air, we do fast breaks, and we also practice our defensive exits. So this is just a clip right here. So again, you'll see the first clip is just the chops. Quickly getting over the ball, getting as many reps as possible. We do this a few times, 4 or 5 times, just to start practice, get their hands moving. Then we move on to the hands. Just, again, practicing our move, just hands. Making sure we're getting the ball lodged in our stick. One more time here. Then we move on to 2 whistles. So now they'll do that same motion, get it out, and get the ground ball. All right, we'll do that one more time, and then we'll move them to be doing live on air. So we put it all together. So we built all those pieces to be sound, and then we do it live, full speed right here, just by themselves. Everything is finished with a ground ball, and then now we're just going live with a little bit of pressure. So you see number 23 here, he's going live plunger, the other guy's just giving a little bit of pressure. And the next one, number 24, he's going to do it. Number 23 is just going to step down the line a little bit. He's got to fight through it. All right, so now we have a little bit of clip from the game. This is what it would look like. We're working on our stance here, right? We have a good, strong stance ready to explode. We're going to get a fast break out of this. 23 gives it up a little bit too early this time. Doesn't put a lot of pressure on the defense, but at least we get a good possession out of it. This next one here, we want to push the envelope a little bit more, right? So the defense didn't necessarily have to come to him. Now he's going to push the block a little bit. They don't come. The wing tries to cut him off. So he keeps going and takes a good shot. So we don't get a goal there, but at least now the defense is stretched. Different game, but same situation. The defense has been stretched. And now, this time, the defense is going to slide early. He's going to get a good look for our offense right here. He's going to make a little fake to make that defender come. Right there. Now we get a good look. Results in some good offense for us. Alright, so then we go to our counters. So this is what we go to when we're not having a good day, when our move's not working. We need to have moves that we can fall back on to be able to counter the other team's moves. So we go to the jam, a laser, and then what I call a swipe and dig. So the jam, you're just getting over the ball with your shaft, making sure that you're aiming for the other person's head, getting him off the ball, but not withholding him. You got to make sure you get off quick enough. Get over the ball, pop it out behind you. Laser would be a little bit different. You're trying to go under the opponent's stick, so they would do a jam or jump, going under him or pulling it out down the line. And then swipe and dig would be just a quick rake or swipe, and then you're coming back under, just trying to dislodge that ball and make it a 50-50. All right, so this is how we drill these. So the first drill here, I call the TP drill. They're both going to be half clamped over the ball. They're just fighting for the advantage. They're trying to punch that left hand forward, get an advantage. They can't just go to their plunger every time, so it really teaches them to keep fighting for the ball. Right there, you want a little bit of jam. Now we're practicing jams. What I'll do sometimes too is I'll ask one guy to tell the other guy what he's going to do. So one guy might walk up to the line and say, I'm going to power plant this time. The other guy has to think about it, find a good move. Again, one more jam here. Good jam, couldn't jump on the whistle. Fortunately, hit his foot. Now we move on. 24 right here is going to try to laser. He's going to try to pull it down, knock down the line. 23 also does a nice little jam there, so he ends up getting the ball. But we're working on those counters every day, and making sure we're, again, technically sound, not only in our main moves, but also in our counters. Now we're going for that swipe and dig. See him swipe down the line, try to dig it out. One more here. 23 tries to swipe. He doesn't get much of it, and he goes back to the dig. The only thing here, we've got to make sure we're not holding the other person's arm. Gets in there, tries to dig a little bit. It makes it hard for that guy to pick up the ball. Now in the game here, see 24, he's going to try to go for a power plant. He's, vying for position, doesn't have it, so he takes his stick out, and then he digs underneath, pops it out right here, and he sees the ball the whole time, and he gets the ground ball himself. All right, so he never loses sight of that ball. He popped it out, he knew exactly where it went, and he goes and gets the ball for us. All right, so then now we move on to wing play. Again, we have a set of fundamentals, a set of keys for our wings. We never want to get beat off the line. We want to fight for inside position, keep that defender, keep our opponent on our back. We want to be aware of the ref's cadence, but we want to anticipate the whistle, but never jump. All right, so the worst thing that can happen for a face-off man is he's going to win the draw, get it out, and the ref blows the whistle because his face-off, his wing went early and stepped on the line. So as a wing, we want to locate the ball and have a relentless pursuit of the ball, but also know when to throttle down, right? So we don't want you screaming in there, getting way too close. The ball's going to pop out and go right by you. So we have them run in there, get inside positioning, but throttle down in a good bubble around face-off man, so if the ball does get out, we can get it. Also, I say maintain offensive and defensive responsibility. We need to make sure one of those wings is behind our face-off guy and one is in front of our face-off guy. So if the ball pops out behind us, we make sure we have the hole covered up so they don't get a fast break. And our wings really need to communicate and never be out of fight. So it's just a kind of a diagram of our communication. So we call, obviously everything is in relation relation to the face-off man. So he's there, that blue dot, on the dot. We call the left wing to him the left wing, and we call the right wing the right wing. Obviously, it's pretty easy. But on our left wing, we have the short stick midi, so that's his pull side. He's going to pull the ball out to there most of the time. So we want our short stick midi or an offensive player going for that. And then on the right wing, we have our long stick midi. So he's going to be more responsible for stopping the other team's break. Then we have a high-low call. High or low would be where the other opponent, where their wing is located. So this would be a pre-whistle call, just letting the face-off guy know where the wing is located. Then we move on, we build up to our three-man unit. We add the face on the clock. So this would be, we would communicate pre-whistle. If the left wing doesn't have anybody on him, he might be calling 7 or 8, 7, 7, 7. He knows, now the face-off guy knows he's going to pull it out to that area. Or we might call 4 or 5 for the right wing. Now we just do some situations, right? This might be how we start the game. The left wing would be down. We like to start the left wing down on the lower side so that the other team has to make a choice. All right, so if he's low and the other guy goes hip to hip with him, then we have the break lane. If not, if he's up there, now we know we can pull it back to him. So we like to start that way. And again, the right wing doesn't have anybody on him, but he's responsible for cutting off that break for the other team. Then, if they go hip to hip and we line up the same way, now we have our break lane. All right, we like this a lot. So if we want our guys to go, if they go hip to hip, we make sure we communicate, let our face-off guy know. You'll see a clip later on where they do this. And then if we do get them with a fast break and they go defensive, we might want to go back to our right wing at the 4 or 5 spot. We might want to go back to ourselves and just get the ground ball ourselves. Or we still could go forward here if our left wing does his job and gets inside position on that wing right there. So just a couple of clips here about practicing wing play. So we do some directed kind of exits here where we pop the ball out to the wing, just a quick clamp. That 24 was half clamped over the ball. He's got to fight through it and then pop it out. So we just practice popping out to the wing. And then now we see it in a scrimmage in practice. There's nobody on our left wing there, so 24 is going to be able to pop it out right to him. Or I'm sorry, 23 pops it out to him. In this next clip, 24, same thing. 11's got nobody on him. He's talking to him. He knows he's going to get the ball, get a good possession for us. All right, so then this clip just shows the communication, right? We see that wing for the other team. He's moving up and down. The other guy talks to him. Now we know we have a fast break. Number 24 pulls it out. There we go. We get a nice fast break and good possession out of it. And then this last clip I'll show just kind of puts everything together. So in this clip, number 24 is going to go for his move. He's going to get tied up. The wing is going to be talking to him. He's going to go defensive exit here. And the wing is going to be one in front, one in back. We're going to get a good look off of it. Wings keep their lanes. Get a good shot. On push back to defense.
Great. Can you guys hear me in the back? Coach, I cut up to not because I'm tech challenged, but because he put his best suit on this morning, and I want everybody to be able to participate. And by the way, if you look at your watches, I have about 4 minutes to speak, which is par for the course. If we have a 30-minute film session, Coach tends to take 22, Coach Myers, and they leave me with 8. But we'll figure it out, as always. Talking fundamental defense. I'm going to go through how we build up our defense from individual drills up to one-on-ones, 2-on-2s, and 4-on-4s. At some points where we're playing 4-on-4 live or 3-on-3, I'm just going to show you or point out some of the scenarios that that you can work multiple scenarios at the same time by setting up and building it up through parallel. Basic individual fundamentals first. We teach our defensemen how to play individual defense by drilling the individual fundamentals over and over again to start. Repetition equals consistency equals discipline. So then when you are playing with the defense, you're not thinking about what you're doing, you're playing and you're reacting. Understand your job. And that's something that we talk about with our guys constantly, is doing your job first. Okay, whether your job is on ball or off ball, know your job, do your job. And then we build our defense through a part-whole build. We start with the basics, approach, okay, our footwork, under control, square, our stick position, approaching with our stick out, stick in front, throwing a poke check, in balance. You'll notice in this drill there's 3 or 4 lines, so we're getting multiple guys involved at one time. You see every once in a while walk up, make sure he's got balance on the balls of his feet. Okay, so we'll do a few of these early on in our small group work. Again, stick out, okay, making sure that we have good balance and we're square. And then we go to the next step in this is back pedal. The idea with this is we never stop moving our feet. Okay, so now we're going to take it from the approach and we're immediately backing off. Stick in front, under control, balanced. Right, same thing, approach, stick out, never stop moving our feet. Approach, stick out, poke check. Right, never stop moving our feet. And the third part of this is open sideways run. Now we're going to work on opening up our hips, right? As the attackments, as Coach Myers showed you, they're going to catch square. Okay, once we get them to commit to a side, we're going to open up our hips to sideways run. Not crossing our feet. Approach, poke, back pedal, sideways run. Do this to both sides. This should be automatic for all our defensemen. Should all play the ball initially the same way, same approach. Back pedal, open your hips. Now next level, you've heard a lot of people talking about point of contact over the weekend. Point of contact, it can vary based on the athletic ability, the speed, the footwork of the defender. So our points of contact will be somewhat consistent, but they may vary a little bit depending on, again, the athletic ability of the defender. We're going to work on, next we'll move to a drill where we're going to put this together again. We have it coned off, and we're going to work on defending the goal line. Right? Turning our hips at about 1 yard or 2 yards above the goal line extended, getting our shoulders parallel to the end line, right? Defending the upfield, defending the goal line. Cone both ways, 2 guys going at a time. Back pedal, sideways run, turn your hips. This last one, you notice he does a really great job. He's a freshman. You notice that slap. We try to teach him to use that slap to help them turn their hips and rotate around so their shoulders are square to the end line. We'll do a lot of our drills sometimes with short sticks and one-on-one. Sometimes we'll do it with no sticks at all. Here we're going to work on that point of contact, drive versus bump. Okay, when we talk about bump, we're talking about shoving and throwing our hips and jumping above our attackman. Okay, if we're going to drive, it's if the attackman widens out and he's not in a position to beat you upfield, then we can drive him up to the corner cone up near the substitution box. So in this, we back pedal, point of contact's near the crease. Okay, we bump with our hands, turn our hips. Back pedal. We're not using our sticks because we want to focus on using our hands, right, and getting our hands away from our body where we can control the attackman instead of keeping our hands in here, okay, where we can't control our attack. So we do this both ways. We're going to put the sticks in our hand, we're going to go to advantage drill. Okay, advantage drill again, here we're going to work on both of our holds, and we got to decide here based on what the attackman does or how quickly we move our feet or how well we use our hands. Are we going to drive into the corner, or are we going to be able to turn our hips on time to defend the goal line? So they have a little bit of advantage. Our defender has his hand on the back hip. Okay, blow the whistle. He's going to try to turn his hips and beat him upfield in that, within that coned off area to be able to force him back. Okay, in this too, a couple of things we want to work on is our balance. We like to talk to our guys about pushing upwards instead of pushing, down, because it keeps balance, right? And we've been keeping our hips controlled and underneath us. Okay, approach angles and feet. There's 3 lines up here right now. These are biddies. Okay, so we're going up top. There's 3 lines. Okay, we're attacking from the 300, 400, and 500. So these 2 lines on the side are going at the same time, and they're just taking an approach angle from the inside out, defending the middle of the field, closing out under control. Our guy here that's on film, we're approaching at the 400, coming straight up, and we're going to, we can shade aside, maybe take the strong hand away here, but what we want to do is get them to commit to a side as soon as possible and defend the middle of the field. So we're working purely on our approach here and our footwork. Throws a pass, comes up, squares, Okay, his top foot's he's a little too open for me. He should be a little bit more square. We talked to our guys about not giving them the top leg so they can attack and come across. Okay, work on gathering yourself as you approach the ball. Be under control when you close out. Okay, point of contact, same with the middies. It may vary a little bit, but we want to make contact shortly after they enter the box. Okay, here's our approach. Under control, force him down the side. Okay, point of contact, defend the middle of the field. Again, short stick, good position, force him down the side. He's going to trail that back shoulder a little bit to defend the middle of the field, not allow for a rollback. Okay, and we go right into the advantage drill as you saw with the defenders, where we're going to trail a little bit, get on that back shoulder, defend the middle of the field, drive into the corner cone. Okay, work on not jumping under, do not overcommit here, stay on that back side, drive them down the side. We start to work our part hole. Our part hole is, first thing is just straight one-on-ones. Okay, approach, start to put all these pieces together into a one-on-one scenario. A lot of times our defenders will have short sticks in this, so we can concentrate on using our hands and our feet to play instead of relying on the stick. Catch and square. Okay, defender here doesn't turn his hips quick enough. But does start to trail as he rolls back. Does a pretty good job there. Everything comes off a pass to an off-ball, on-ball approach. Steps underneath and gets beat up. We go to 2-on-2s here. We get a couple different looks. Get a couple different looks here. You see we work off both the big little. We work off the picks. We can do a number of different scenarios here. Work on our come across slide. We can work on, again, a number of aspects of our team defense within these 2-on-2s. Work our way through a big little pick there. Midi probably should have stepped out to put some pressure on the shorty so that exchange wasn't that easy. Does a pretty good job of holding him on the island. Do a good job off ball. Now he moves into a slide position. Okay, so we worked a number of different fundamentals, team defensive fundamentals in that. Once we're in these 2-on-2s, we're also working on our communication. Right? Obviously, communication is extremely important. When we're playing picks, we want to be loud. We want to be early in calling that there's a pick or possibility of pick. We want to be decisive when we make the call. In our calls, we stay switch, chop, depending on the situation. And then we're also working on the recovery. Are we going to jump out and shut off the shorty now? Are we going to fall off and slide from different areas? So even in these 2-on-2s, we're working a big part of our team defensive aspect, but we're kind of focusing on the two guys that are playing behind. Midfield, we're going to do the same thing, okay? One-on-ones, put it all together, full speed. Ball's going to come up top, off the pass, off ball to on ball. Come up and approach, take the middle of the field away, drive him down the side, all right? When he steps back, it looks to roll back. You notice the guy does a pretty good job of continuing to move his feet and not biting and giving up the middle of the field. Okay, good approach here. Does a good job of moving his feet and keeps him from rolling back to the middle of the field. Okay, right here is our one-on-one +1. So we're working on a number of things here. Our approach, we're making it a slide under control, trying to slide to the top hand, to the head, to the stick head. We recover back to the crease. It's a continuous drill. The goalie is calling the recovery, and the guy who recovers to the crease now is going to be the slide guy when the ball is thrown back across. Okay, so we're continually sliding, recovering, and then that makes you the slide guy. 3-on-3 at the midfield, you can see we get to cover a lot of different scenarios in this. So as the ball started, we're going to approach. Okay, off ball, on ball approach. Start this one with a pick. Okay, we switch on this. He stops him from rolling back to the middle of the field. Another approach. Ball is reversed off a 2-pass. We get into the guys on the backside have to zone up and exchange on the backside. Okay, so another fundamental there as they get to practice on ball. keeps him down the side. Stop that, Casey. If you notice here, great fundamental, you heard it earlier from both the Ohio State and Denver staff. You know, once a slide guy, always a slide guy. So you have a guy in the middle here. You see that there's a pop, and the pop man, the defender, stays here, keeps himself in a slide position, you know, which is very important, can be tough to teach. So we can drill that in these 3-on-3s just as they're playing, so the guys are forced to read and react with a little bit more room around them. He comes back out to ball. Slide man holds his spot and shows. He's able to come back out to the perimeter. We do a pretty good job of that. And finally, we go to 4-on-4. And this is kind of the staple of our teaching. Once we get to this, there isn't a scenario that we can't rep or teach out of this, both fundamentally and team-wise. You're going to see in these couple short clips, we have 2 biddies and 2 attackmen. We're working on ball play, we're working on off-ball slides, recoveries, communication. The slide can change from the crease slide to an adjacent slide, depending on how the ball moves. We have pick play, we have big, little, and again, slide recovery. So we're covering a lot of different aspects here, but we built this all the way up from that original approach, square, stick out, to where we're playing 4-on-4. On ball, we're on and off. Guys up top have to play off ball. Get a pick at goal line. Talk our way through the pick. You get a clear through. Now the slide man changes. Ball's up top, another pick. They do a pretty good job of jumping out on that one. In this one, we have a big little. Behind. Pretty decent job of the pick. Ball comes up top. Another pick, they have to work through, defends the middle of the field. Another pick that we switch on, now they're at an invert. Now out of this invert, our guys have to respond up top by dropping into positions depending on how we're playing the invert on that play. Okay, there's a pick, and he misplays it a little bit. The communication wasn't great on that. But in that one 4-on-4, we saw 4 or 5 different scenarios that are part of the whole, okay, that help us build up our defense. And it wasn't too bad. Okay? If you have any questions, certainly we'll stick around here for a little bit to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions right now? While we're all here, feel free to approach us afterwards as well. So if there are any questions, raise your hand. Otherwise, have a great holiday and good luck this season.